What's going on, everybody? Doc, Average Gamer Guys, back yet again. Some more Escape from Tarkov action. And today, jumping into a video that did pretty well, a lot of support on it, and figured it would be a good time now, coming up right before the 12.8 update, to do a little update to that previous video. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, and probably the reason you clicked on the video, taking another look at the key with the blue tape marking and its profitability in the current state of Tarkov. Now, again, this is coming up before 12.8. We do expect probably a little bit of changes, especially with some of the new heavy bleed mechanic and some of the other things that we might see some shifts of. But I did some research. I've been doing some labs grinds and figured I wanted a little bit more definitive proof, especially after the changes to a lot of the stims. So we saw the 12.7 update brought with it a bunch of new stims, brought Sanitar in, and a lot of those stims were pretty OP when they were first brought out. They were selling really, really well, and I made that original video because the key was worth a ton at that point. Right now, that key's dropped in price. A lot of those stims have dropped in price, but I was still curious. If you run labs, or if you're going in to run some labs, either solo or with some buddies, is it worth it for you to buy that key and get into that room? And again, small sample size that we're going to jump into, but I thought it would be worth taking a look at and providing at least a little bit of my data for that conversation. And again, the first video did really well, so we appreciate that. So we're going to jump into that today. I have some data. I'm going to show you a little spreadsheet I put together, kind of talk about exactly what all you can find in that room, and kind of break it down for you like that. And what's valuable. I think it's also important to know if you're running in labs or you're running anywhere else, it's important to know the different stims and where it's good to sell those and what's good to, container versus maybe throw in your backpack versus not even pick up in general. So we'll jump into that a little bit as well. And again, I want to try to answer, is that key card, is it profitable if you're able to get in that room, get that gear, and get out of that raid? So we'll jump into that. Before we do, just again, appreciate all the support. If you find this video helpful, please hit that like, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Trying to do some more Escape from Tarkov. Plan on covering a lot of 12.8 as it comes out, taking a look at all of that. And we do stream. We have a Twitch, we have a Discord, so please give us a follow over there. We stream Tarkov every weekend, Fridays and Saturdays. Play a ton of it, do squad raids. I like to try to do some community raids as well. I think that'd be a ton of fun. So if you're interested in that, links in the description below. But let's jump into this. So let's first talk about this really quick. You could skip probably ahead a couple of minutes if you know everything about this, but I thought it'd be a good idea just to kind of cover what this keycard is and kind of go over the details. So what we're talking about here is the keycard with the blue marking. Okay, this is a keycard that Sanitar can drop, and it's relatively common on him. It's a single-use labs keycard. Okay, so you got to go into the infamous labs. But if you play labs a lot or you're thinking about running in here, this keycard is important. It's also important because you need this keycard in order to finish one of your quests later on in kind of the Sanitar quest line. But again, single use. Currently, it's going for about 182, 180. I've seen it fluctuate over the last couple of weeks. At the outset, it was very, very expensive. But right now, it's sitting right in, I think I have it listed at 182.5, which is kind of the median low price for it. Great key card if you can find it on Sanitar. Great to sell if you can get it out of that raid. If you can't, again, the reason we're talking here today is this worth purchasing? And is it more valuable to take this in, swipe it, and pull the items out of that room? Again, if you're not familiar, that room, it's in labs. It's right across the hall from the green keycard room. I'll have a couple of my runs in that room to show you here in a little bit. So you can kind of just see some of the spawns where you should be looking. There's basically a couple of tables, and then there's kind of the edge holding areas, the shelves that you can pick items up on. But about 182.5 right now, 182,500 rubles is what this is going for, and again, single use. And is it profitable? So before we jump into that, here is basically all of the items that you can get. Basically, what you're looking for in this room is these stims. These are going to be your money makers. You can pull any of the new stims. You can also pull any of the old stims that we had prior to the 12.7 update. In addition to that, you can pick up this section of items right here. Serve 12s, your splints, your grizzlies, your A12 cheeses, painkillers, golden stars, ophthalmoscopes. So this room has a lot of very good items in it. But the vast majority of items that you'll find are going to be your stims, and it seems to be really preference towards the new stims. Obviously, it's his room. It's like his little office testing area. So that makes a lot of sense kind of for the lore of his character. These are the additional items, med items that are related. Now, in my journeys, in my raids, in my testing, again, I did 10 where I recorded them. I have never seen any of these items. I get questions a lot. Have you ever found a LEDX? Have you ever found a defib? I personally have not. That's not to say that these can't spawn because, again, we get the ophthalmoscope spawn in here. But at least in my runs, I have not been able to find them. I've also never found cars or Salewas, IFAX, CMS, Knackles. I've never found any of this. I think it's smart that a lot of that is pulled out from the pool, but I take that with a grain of salt too, because again, I found cheeses, I found just regular painkillers and splints. So I may just not be in that. So if you have experience going into this room and you've ever found one of these, especially a LEDX or a defib, I'd love to see some proof. Not saying that you're not honest, but in my experience, I've never seen these, and I've been in this room quite a bit. These are all in raids, I guess, not offline raids, that I did this testing on and never had a chance to find any of this stuff. But with all that being said, there's a lot of really, really good things. Your mules, your ETGCs, your SJ6s, even your melodonins, ophthalmoscopes, obviously, are all really, really solid. So I wanted to take a look. I've got a little spreadsheet up that we're going to jump into, and here's just a breakdown of my 10 runs total, what I ended up finding per run, and then just basically broke out some math to help kind of this discussion. Now, I will tell you, on average, you can see out of 10 raids, I get 139 total items. That's rated about 14 items per raid, some a little bit lower, some a little bit higher. Had some really, really good raids. You can see 17 on my 9th run. I'll show that one off. It is pretty heavily favored towards the stims. Again, I tried to kind of label these together. Pretty heavily favored towards the stims, but it feels like every time you jump in, you're going to find a Serve 12 or a Splint, painkillers. Gold Star is obviously another really, really solid item to be able to pick up, as well as Vaseline and ibuprofen. They both sell really, really well, and you'll find those pretty consistently, I would say, throughout your journeys into this room. Just to break this conversation down a little bit more, what I wanted to do was see if you were to sell them FIR on the flea, what you would end up generally, and these are kind of low price generalizations as of October 4th when I'm recording this, versus what you would get if you were to just straight take all that stuff and sell it to therapists. The reason I thought the therapist question would be a good one to try to answer is if you end up going into this room and dying at some point during the raid, and you're able to at least take, I'll say, the majority of these items out. Let's say you have Kappa, and maybe you brought in like just a documents case, or you're able to take at least the high value stuff out. You can at least get a little bit of a sense for if you would make some money. Now, granted, if you end up dying, you're taking out less items, 8 to 10, maybe at most. If you take literally nothing in but the key card, I guess you could get out with a couple of more if you've got that Kappa. But I thought it was important to just kind of talk about that. In addition, there are a few things that are more valuable or as valuable selling to therapists than they would be selling on the flea, especially considering that you take out the kind of that flea price for posting those items. So I'll highlight a couple of those things. In general, here's what I'm going to say. In general, whether you make it out FIR or you make it out and you end up dying, the key in general at 182,000 or so rubles does feel profitable. If you can get in that room and you can loot everything inside of it, even if you were just to run in there, loot that room and leave, these are kind of the values you're looking at. Now, again, this is small sample size, 10 runs, but I would say it is profitable. It is profitable currently where the stims are selling, currently what the key card is selling for, and I think that's important to note. So again, if you're planning on going in there, good idea to take a look at it. If you have the 182 or so thousand rubles to spend, and you're willing to take a little bit of a risk, you can throw it in your documents case. My preferred method with running this, and I did it for, I would say the majority of these 10 runs, is kind of clear the area out. Wait a little bit longer into the raid, might hit another room if you have green or blue or black keycard. You can hit one of those rooms, maybe kill a couple of raiders, feel pretty confident that the lobby is clear and you have a good extract set up. And then this is a pretty good room to go into, again, near the end of the raid. Now, keep in mind, you're going to have 14 to 17, 18 slots available in your inventory. So you're taking an attack backpack in. Maybe you've picked up a good rig from a raider and you've got some spare slots. Great opportunity to run to this room. If you had the key card, you feel pretty safe. You can loot it. I also recommend doing this room because with the exception of that long hallway, you're not going to get much raider interaction. Raiders can sit outside of kind of that green up on that upper area on the top floor, overlooking that second floor in the office, but very rarely are they going to be positioned in that green hallway. So it gives you a pretty good opportunity. Even if you hear raiders, you should be able to get in, swipe the key card, get into the room, and then kind of extract by taking either the metal stairs that's right there or moving farther down the hallway and taking the long metal stairs as well. And that gives you a lot of options to be able to get out. So I like this. I like this key. After the adjustments with the stims, we saw, again, a lot of price changes and movements. And I do find it's interesting that it is still profitable overall in the long run as you're running it. So what I did here, just to explain my spreadsheet, I know if I had it up for a second, is you see what currently the FIR, like on the flea, low, if you were to take basically the lowest price, post it for that, this is about what you're getting for each of these items, okay? Therapist, these are full durability, mind you, so if you go in and you use a little bit of your Grizzly, you're not going to get 13,140, you'll get a little bit less than that. But this is what therapists will buy these for. Basically, then what I did is calculate all of the different items that I pulled through the raid. You can see currently right now, about 220,000 for Labs Keycard on the flea. You can currently buy them for 156, two of them per restock from therapists. So the change in this is really good. And then again, base price right now on the low end, about 182. It fluctuates a little bit, but I think that's a pretty solid price. And you can see this is what you're pulling from just these items in the room, okay? So to, again, give you a sense, that's, you know, these items, that's all of your different stims. That's basically everything that you're able to pick up here is what you're going to be able to find. And this is kind of your value. If you were to sell everything basically straight on the flea, if you were to sell everything basically straight to therapists, this is how you would pan out. So again, 185, 182 investment. On this first run, I made almost 400K just from that room alone. Now, it's important to note, inside of Labs, obviously, you've got raiders with pretty good gear. You've got the opportunity to pick up different key cards, intelligence, a whole ton of different types of tech items. You can get some really good ammo. So if you're pretty proficient at Labs and feel pretty comfortable running in it and not scared of getting shot in the face instantly by somebody hacking, this can be a really profitable situation for you. To give you a little bit more balance, if you subtract the cost, basically this bottom column is your take home, okay? This is your take home minus the key card. Now, I did also run this scenario, and you can see a little bit. If you also include the price of the key card itself, buying it from therapists, which I would think most would have access to. If not, you're paying that $220. You can see that in about half of the situations, you would be profitable if you survived the raid and made it out. Those ones denoted in yellow. If you subtract the cost of the actual Labs keycard itself, you would not make money. You would be at a loss. I kind of consider that Labs keycard, since you're entering it anyways, you have to consider that a sunk cost. You also, again, have to consider what else that you can pick up during that raid. So again, small snapshot, 10 runs, but quite a bit of profit. We can see here, on an average, you're making, 366K if you end up surviving the raid and getting out. And again, there are some items that are definitely more beneficial if you end up pulling them to sell them actually to therapists. Your Serve 12 is one of them. Sells to therapist, 27K. Let's see what else here is good. Obviously, your big things that you're looking for, Vaseline is really solid. Your Golden Star, your ophthalmoscopes. Ophthalmoscopes, even not found in raids, still sell to therapists for 50K. So that's really, really solid. Your Propital is one that you definitely want to be picking up and trying to get out of the raid. Therapist does not buy those for very much. But again, Therapist buys Zagustin. A lot of the stims actually sell to therapists for quite a few of the stims, I would say, sell to therapists for more. Zagusin being one. Your AH really doesn't matter. It sells for about the same. Your 3 BTG also sells for about the same. Your Abdabalis, however you say that, sells for about the same. Same thing with P22. So it's important to understand that, because even if you don't get out of the raid and you're able to take and stuff a bunch of this stuff into your container, you find an intelligence on top of that, but end up dying to a raider or another player, you can actually still make some pretty good money and have a pretty good net return on this key card in general. So I thought this would be an interesting update. This is my data here, and I don't want to keep this video too short, but I do want to continue to monitor this, because I think labs, obviously minus the cheaters, minus some of the other stuff that's going on, the reduction in price, the additional key card you could pick up from therapist, the key with tape, key card with tape being, a little bit more reasonable as far as price. Again, you can see if you make it out of that raid, you're easily pulling, 120, 200,000 rubles. If you get a really, really solid, this raid, I saw 5 mules. I saw 17 total items, 5 of them being mules. Arguably one of the best stims that you can pick up. You can see after the keycard price, I made 344,000 rubles off of it. Even subtract, the labs keycard, that's still a 200k run just from that room alone. It's also very interesting in all of these runs. I hit this room at different points during my runs. Sometimes I hit it right away just to get some footage and just to find these items. But a lot of them, probably half of them, I would go through a full kind of labs playthrough for me, hit some other rooms, fight some raiders, fight a player or two. And what I ended up finding is that most people are not opening this room. Some people do occasionally. If you're teamed up in a squad, it's another good opportunity for some people to kind of top up on some loot. If you're looking for something specific like ophthalmoscopes, not necessarily the place that I would necessarily go, although we did find 4 out of our 10 runs, which is a pretty good total scenario. But Golden Star, again, ibuprofen, if you're looking for any of those trades, we found a lot of those. Again, very, very heavy in the stims, with the exception of this one. This stim, for whatever reason, over the after the most recent patch, has been very, very hard to come by, at least in labs. And I look a lot of places. I do a lot of black and blue openings, green openings. I have all of the keys, with the exception of red. And this one just, it seems to be very, very rare, which is not bad from a profit standpoint, although Therapist does pay pretty well for it. So it would be a good one to get a little bit more into the rotation. But overall, to answer the question, should you buy this key card? Is it profitable? In my opinion, I'm going to say yes. Now, again, if you don't make it out of the raid, you can still make some money. You can make some good money back. Again, if you're able to take all of the items out, if you're running, again, a Kappa, then you have a good opportunity. This is a great room to hit. Again, if you're with a squad, another good opportunity. One of you should bring the key card. You kind of clear the rest of the players out, kill a couple of raiders, get juiced up. Got a couple of slots left. Go hit this room. And I think you'll be pretty happy overall in the long term with the results. You may have a pretty crappy room where you get just a bunch of, I don't know, morphines, but I don't think so. Again, I think it's very heavily favored towards the new stims, and the new stims, even with the reductions and the changes, a lot of them still sell really well. And some of those really good stims that you're looking for, your Propitals, your SJ6s, your Mules, all of that stuff is pretty heavily favored in that room as well. So at some point, again, I'll have some runs up. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully it was beneficial and helpful to you. I've been looking at wanting to update this video for a while, get some actual really good kind of data towards it, and I'll keep taking a look. With 12.8 coming up, we'll see if anything changes significantly with the stims and the prices and what they're able to do. If we get any adjustments there, that will obviously fluctuate. And again, I should note that, again, this was recorded October 4th, 2020. So this may be out of date by the time you watch it. So hopefully I'll try to keep up and update this accordingly as well. But hopefully you found it beneficial. Thank you guys so much for stopping in. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment, leave a like. If you do have any evidence and you've been able to pick up LEDX or defib in this room, I'd really like to hear that comment as well. I've been doing some search and haven't found any luck, but this is kind of what my research brought me to. So with that, we'll close it out. Doc, Average Gamer guys, as always, thanks for watching. Appreciate all the support, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.